Yeah, that's right. It's Christmas time, which means it's time to create a Christmas tutorial. So that's what I'm doing here today. I've got 10 minutes to show you guys how to create this scene here. This is the finished result. Not much really going on in the scene. It does involve a fair bit of compositing. Now the shelf life for this tutorial is expiring every second I continue talking. So I'm going to try and show you guys how to create this in 10 minutes or less. Let's go. Start by opening up a new scene and delete the default cube and the default lamp and replace it with a plane. So this plane is going to be where most of the Christmas lights are going to be. I'm now going to create an icosphere. And this icosphere is actually going to be the Christmas lights, which I'm going to now distribute using a particle system. Okay, so it's fairly simple. Setting the emitter type to hair and the object to icospheres. Then want to turn the normal amount down so that the lights aren't too big. And then turn the amount down as well. I'm going to go with something around 100-ish. And I'm going to set it to random. The other thing, I'm going to turn off emitter. I don't want the plane to actually render. And I'm going to set the sky to black. Okay. That's going to be the main background. Now for the materials for those Christmas lights, they're all done by selecting the icosphere there. I'm going to set the color to a slightly yellow color like that. Turn off specularity and set the emitter to 2. Now if I position the camera somewhere along here, should be fine. I'm now going to go turn on limits and just increase the distance. So this is the focal point of the where the camera is going to be focusing on, that yellow point right there. Now this is a very main aspect of the final result of this Christmas light scene, so it's important you try and get that right. I'm now going to jump into the compositor to show you what that's done. If I add a defocus node, whoa, it's disappeared. Bring it back. Click use the buffer, set the f-stop to 7. Let's see what that looks like. There you go. So there you've got that nice bokeh type effect, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now I'm going to create a Christmas tree. So this is a really simple, easy way of creating one. Just adding a circle. Now I've got like a cone type shape. I'm now going to add an empty. If I can find the empty, there we go. And with the cone now selected, I'm going to click array, turn off relative offset, and change it to the empty that we just created. So now if I just move that empty upwards, I now have an array system. And the good thing about having an empty is that now if I scale that, I now have that kind of effect there. So that's a very quick and easy way to do that. Now I can delete that empty, and I'm just going to scale the Christmas tree according to wherever I want it in the scene. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did. I'm going to use the same particle system that I already created, just to put Christmas lights on the outside. Making sure, of course, that the emitter is turned off. Let's see how that looks now when rendered. And if we go to the compositor, there you go. That's the sort of result we're getting. Okay, so now I'm going to create some sort of colored lights right in front of the camera. And this is going to create an interesting effect because it's sort of, when things are very close to the camera, then you get sort of like a really overblown out bokeh type of effect, like those nice cool sort of circles that are, you know, distracting, and but it looks pretty cool. So let's see how this goes. So I'm just putting a few cuts here, and what I'm going to do, if I set this fall off here to 0, and then if I just increase this like that, and what that'll do is it'll now create those lights on a slightly raised plane, so they're not completely flat. I'm going to change the particle system. Going to click a singular instance for the particle system. And now, because I want the lights to be different colors, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that icosphere there. I'm going to make it its own material. And then I'm going to set the emitter to 0.5 because I don't want it to be as bright as the lights in the background. Alright, now I'm going to set this color here to kind of an orangey color like that. I'm going to duplicate it. Again, make it its own material. This one's going to be purple color. Duplicate it. Make it its own material. And this one's going to be a pink color. So now I've got 3 different lights there. Now if I press Control G, then that will, they're now green. The outline of them is green, which means they're now part of a group. If I call that lights, it'll make it a little bit easier. And now with this particle system here selected, if I go down here under group and click groups, you can see now that plane has those colored lights on it. So if I were to render this now, then you can see we get that effect there. Now that bokeh is looking a little bit not what I want. I'm going to point this camera down a little bit, make these lights come a little bit towards the camera like that. I'm going to scale that like that. So it takes a little bit of organizing to get it all set up. And I'm also going to turn down the amount of particles and the size of the particles as well. So now they're just a little bit smaller. Let's have a look at that now. I should really connect this node so we can actually see what's happening. Okay. All right. So not bad. All right. So now what I'm going to do, going back to the compositor now, I'm going to create some noise, because if you have a look at real photos of bokeh, that circular effect in the background, they have like little patterns and cool little effects, like lens art effects and things like that. So a quick way to do that, if I go to the world buttons and then go to textures, I can click new. Now this texture is part of the world. However, as long as you don't click horizon, then it won't actually show up in the sky, which is exactly what I want. Because I only want to make a texture, but I don't want it to actually apply to anything. I'm only going to use it in the compositor. It'll make sense, okay? So pretty default looking cloud texture there. So I'm going to add a new texture here. Okay, so that's the texture it's created. And I'm going to scale it just because... There we go, it's a bit better. Yeah, you scale it because it's a rectangle view. It's not completely square render. I'm now going to duplicate that. I'm going to create another texture. This is going to be a distorted noise texture. So just like more chunky kind of different effects happening. And I'm going to leave it as that. That looks fine. And if I add a mix node, I can blend that cloud texture with the distorted noise texture. Remember, both of these effects are going to work for us by creating that lens artifact effect. And that is round the wrong way, because this one is it's showing the black when it should be showing the other way. So I'm going to invert that with an invert node. And it should now look right. Okay. So now I'm basically going to overlay that over the entire image, or over that defocus bit. So if I duplicate that mix node, click that there, join that there, you can see that we now have some distorted, sort of crackly type of effect over the top of our bokeh type of thing. Now this really only works in this scenario, in this scene, because the entire scene is bokeh, you know. So it really works. But if this was a bigger scene with lots of other objects that are in focus and things like that, then it wouldn't work. But for this scenario, I think it works. So that's good. All right, now I'm going to create a glow effect. So I'm going to add a blur node, a mix node, set the type to add, and connect both of them like so. Okay, now I'm going to set the type to fast Gaussian, and I'm going to make it 50. So you get sort of like a nice soft glow coming off everything. So that's pretty good. Now the real fun comes in creating the color balance. We go color balance. I've only got 2 minutes left to finish this tutorial, and I'm going to make it a little bit orangey like that, and brighten up everything. So it's like that, which isn't too bad. And to top it all off, I'm now going to create a quick vignette. A vignette, for those of you who don't know what it is, basically just makes the edges and the corners a little bit darker so that you focus on the center more. This is a quick way of doing it, which I think I learned from Mike Pan, I think. He posted a screenshot. Pretty cool method for doing it. I'm going to add another mix node. Multiply so that sort of eye hole effect is over everything. And I might also add an RGB curve. Just drop it in here, just to sort of tighten up that vignette effect. And that's looking pretty good. I might, got 30 seconds left, tilt this down, up like that, and render it. And there we go, not bad. So a little bit more fiddling around, and I'm sure you'll get the idea. So anyway, that can be sort of used for a wallpaper, Christmas card, anything you really like. It's up to you. In fact, you might want to even turn down the bokeh effect if it's a little bit too much for you. But yeah, anyway, have fun. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial.